shoot interview of Chief Ironclaw Eddie Pittman, and we're going to ask some random questions now just to get your reaction, your answers. One of the ones we have here is, what has been your worst appearance as, with another worker? What would you say?
Oh, I think years ago I was doing my worst appearance, I was doing a Jason gimmick because our Jason didn't show up. And I wasn't even going to work. And me and Fargo done had a few beers. And we was there and they said, hey, can you do this Jason gimmick for me? And I was like, yeah, all right. So I put on some overalls they had there, zip-up overalls, and I put this little, it was a horrible hockey mask. And the first bump I took, because I always pride myself taking a big bump, I took a bump and the mask just shot straight off. And I'm sitting there and they're like, that's Chief. And I'm like, yep, that's me. So that was probably the worst.
Wow. Who would you say has been the funnest person, the most fun person to work with? I mean, who did you really have a blast with?
Fargo.
Really, hands down.
Fargo. Sika, Sika was close. I used to love to pull the ribs on Sika because everybody was scared of Sika. All the workers. And I love to play the ribs on Sika because he just really went for him hook, line, and sinker. But Fargo, it was one of my favorite Fargo stories. Is I was playing Leatherface in Texas, and we went to this cemetery over at St. Michael's and was taking some pictures. We had the photographer out there, and I think I got a picture maybe on the truck, and my gimmick looked just like Leatherface. I mean, it looked like
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I mean, it looked just like him, and I'm all beefed up. So Fargo had an old bloody apron on and a meat cleaver, and he was my manager, and he was standing in front of me, and I'm standing on the top of a slab, a grave slab, with my chainsaw like this, and all these kids was getting off a school bus.
Wow.
and they saw this, and they just took off running down the street screaming, and Fargo was like, that's a great gimmick, brother. and the same gimmick, we're in Texas working, and my damn chainsaw wouldn't crank. So I didn't even worry about taking off the chain. I just took the chain on it, So I had to listen to Fargo bitch and Billy, chainsaw don't work, that's horrible, blah, 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 So we get there and we're in the locker room, and I said, damn, Fargo, enough about the chainsaw. I said, when I get to the tunnel, I go out there and I just start waving it around and do the Leatherface dance, and everybody they'll freak out and life goes on. Well, my damn mask was crooked, and I couldn't see, it was the leather, and it was crooked to the side, and I couldn't see out of it real good, so I'm walking out to the main part of the arena, and I get out there and I start doing a little dance, Leatherface dance, and I bump something. Boom. I was like, oh, damn, what the hell with that chainsaw? So I get to the ring, I set the chainsaw down, I climb up the steps, I straighten my mask, and Fargo's in there and blood's just pouring down his arm. And I said, did I hit you with that chainsaw, Fargo? And he's like, yeah, damn. I said, it's a good thing it wasn't crank, you'd be calling me old lefty.
Oh, that's great. Looking back, over your whole career, what would your dream match be?
You're talking about workers now or past or
your choice. What are you?
I was really fortunate to have such great matches. With Rodney, Greg Okina, Yokozuna, whatever you want to call him. With Big Sam and Junior, and up right before he went to New York, Eki, he was, you worked with him some, Orndorff, Buzz Sawyer, I'm trying to think of Kamala. Me and Kamala wrestled many times, Agbar. I mean, I've just had so many, Bob Orton. We was in the Cayman Islands, and I tell this story all the time, and I had done wrestled my match, but we had a big battle royal at the end, me and Sika and Rodney and Bob Orton, and Bob Orton really hadn't worked none that night except for the battle royal. So it come down to me and him in the battle roll. And I was like, okay, let's, we done got down to me and him, and I was like, I'm ready to get this done with. And he goes, oh no, kid, I ain't work tonight. We're going to work for a while. So one of the ribs he pulled on me, I had him. He was going to win the battle roll. He was going over, and he was up on the turnbuckle, like he was going to fall out. I was holding him, He was blowing me up, and me holding him. I was like, don't fall out. You got to win. You got to win. Don't fall out. And he was laughing. So when I finally caught on that he was ribbing me, he said, look here. He said, Chief, I'm going to punch you. He said, take a bump. He says, I'm going to come off the top, off the turnbuckle here. And he says, I want you to hold your fist straight out when you see me jump. And I said, okay. So bing, bang, boom, I took the bump. Here he comes. I hold my fist straight out. And he took this bump. To this day, it's probably one of the greatest bumps I've ever seen in a ring. And I never felt him touch my fist. And it looked like I ripped off his head.
Wow.
I mean, I'm not talking about jumping off the top. He just stood up on the second layer of the ring, the second rope, and he jumped down, and it like it killed him. And he says, okay. He says, I want to grab him by the hair, and he said, run me into the ropes, go hit the ropes, go throw a big clothesline, I'll flip you over the top. And that one giant bump that he took set up the finish. I mean, it's a finish you see a million times. You throw the big clothesline and he duck out you go, but that one bump just made the whole match.
Right.
And it was just amazing. I got in the back, I says, Jesus, I says, that was a hell of a bump. And he's like, that's why I'm a pro, boy.
Nice.
And Sika, one time at the World Wrestling Family, me and him was fighting outside the ring, and he said, and the concession stand the window was way up here, real high. He says, and he took me to that window and just threw me through it. So I was like, you just make the motion.
Right.
So I took him over there and run it, and he went through that window on his back inside of the kitchen there.
Wow. And
his wife, Lee, says, Sick, are you okay? And he goes, don't worry, honey, I'm a professional. And that building has so many great stories. And one more story, it was really one of Marcel Pringle's favorite stories is we had an office, the big arena was out there, and we had a little office to the side. And me and Sika done work, and we're sitting in there having a beer. And Bob Hawley and Pat Rose was out there just burning it up. Man, Pat Rose was another great worker. Wonderful guy, great worker. And him and Bob Hawley could really go in that ring. So they're going in there, bing, bang, boom, bing, bang, boom. They're outside the ring fighting. And me and Sika's, I'm sitting here, and Sika's across at the desk. And we're talking about, all the matches. And about that time, Bob Hawley's head comes through the wall.
Wow.
Right between the two befores. His head's all the way through the wall, and he's looking around. And Sika said, damn, brother, easy on my walls. And somebody yanked him back through, and they went about their business.
Wow.
But, not a gimmick wall, a real wall.
Yeah, yeah.
So that building had a lot of great stories in there.
Wow. If you could take a moment in your wrestling career and relive it or change something in it, what would it be?
I quit too soon.
Think so?
Yeah, I got irritated. I was promised a shot, a main shot with WCW, and Dusty Rhodes took over the book and basically got rid of everybody. So after that, I had about 4 tours called off that year. And I said, you know what, I'm tired of being a dancing bear in another man's circus. Buford Pusser said that great in Walking Tall, and it's the truth. But if I had to redo it, and Sika to this day, Sika I think he holds a little resentment. Because if I just would have just hung around a little bit longer, I think, I would have had my long run in New York also.
Right.
And that's probably what I regret the most. But you know what? I was fortunate in this business. I mean, yeah, it's easy to look back and say what you would have did, but you know what? I got to go all over the world. I was treated like a movie star. I met wonderful people. I was accepted into a fraternity of pro wrestlers who I admire and respect, you know, and they accepted me, you know, and to be accepted by your peers, you know what? I don't care. It's like Don Fargo says, you know, once you're accepted by the other true wrestlers, he says, you're rich already, you know. So they gave me the Legends Award in our wrestling reunion. I think it was in '08. And I had to have surgery that Monday on my shoulder. And I wasn't able to attend. They don't tell you ahead of time. But, you know, that's really, to me, to be honored by them men there, to be, you know, recognized for your work for my brief period of time that I was there, was, it just kind of, you know, it's a real emotional. And I'm real thankful for that.
Outstanding. What do you think would improve the wrestling business on the independent level now? What advice could you give, or what do you think could be done to improve the quality of wrestling events on the independent level?
Probably 3/4 of them needs to just blow away. To be honest with you, they need to go away. Now, in order for an indie to work, you know, there is room for this Gulf Coast, and maybe only up towards Montgomery and that area, like Continental used to run, for one good company to maybe spur, you know, for you know, same company but spur off, like you have a part of, I'm just going to use OSW for an example.
Okay.
Just say you got your main company right here in Pensacola. Well, we're gonna take Pensacola, Baldwin County, Mobile, and then say Mississippi. You have your agent in Mississippi. There's still part of OSW that sets up your events in Mississippi, and then you have from Panama City down to maybe Ocala, you know, and you have your agent there. Still part of the same company, but it's an independent. You know, it can work like that with the right workers, but you know, you're talking about people who's going to check their egos at the door. You're going to have workers that's really schooled, you know, and you're going to have to pick up a big sponsor. You're going to have to get some good sponsors for that. But it could work. There's room here for these kids, and there's enough good workers in this area to really put on a hell of a good event. You know, whether it's in Pensacola or Mississippi or Tallahassee, or there's enough good workers that you could do that.
Right, right. I agree.
But they got to be taught to respect the business.
Right.
You've got to respect this business. Chris Cody, we talked about him a while ago. He was a little bitty fella, but he respected the business. And, you know, me and Bobby, we're working together now, and Bobby picked up a student the other day, and when we had our meeting with him, we told him, you will respect this business.
Right.
You know?
The first thing. Just hit stop right there, and we'll